Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to be showing you how I take pictures of my art and post it on social media, and also some general tips for growing a following on social media and good habits to keep up that have worked for me. So before I go on with the rest of the video, I just want to say this video is sponsored by Skillshare. So Skillshare is a website where you can take classes made by teachers, and there's over 25,000 classes in illustration, animation, graphic design, and all kinds of stuff. And they have a premium membership, and that gives you access to all the classes. So you can join if there's things that you want to learn more about, or you want to get more creative or brush up on your skills. Skillshare is a perfect place for this and to find community with your fellow students. A class that relates to this video is about growing an Instagram following through daily drawing challenges by Stephanie Coleman. This is a very informative class about how posting daily on Instagram can slowly, organically grow your following. And if you want to get Skillshare, the annual subscription is less than $10 a month. There's 7 million people on Skillshare right now learning. There's a link in my description for the first 500 people to get a 2-month free trial to Skillshare. So thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. It helps me out a lot. And on to the rest of the video. So I have this piece of art that I want to post on Instagram, and I want to show you how I go about taking a photo, making it look nice, what strategies I use to make it look appealing, and tags and stuff like that. But before I show you the technical side, I just wanted to address the fact that a lot of people want to post their art online, but they feel like they aren't good enough, or they don't have the confidence to post their art. And everyone is nervous if they haven't posted their art before. You feel like everyone's going to be really mean to you and hateful, and you're not sure how people are going to react. But I've never had any negative encounters. If you're nice and you're just sharing what you make, you're going to find other people who are around the same skill level as you, and you can kind of support each other. I find you're never going to be 100% happy with your art, so you might as well start posting it early on, because you're going to be glad you did, and it's going to help you improve more, because some people will give you feedback on your art that you can use to make it better. That's what happened to me. I had a couple of friends that I met on DeviantArt, and we would kind of help each other. We would critique each other's work. I remember I went through a phase where I started to get a little bit insecure, and it was because I was realizing all the flaws in my art, and that I actually wanted to get better and wanted to improve. And I couldn't really do it on my own, and I needed the help from other people to kind of tell me where I needed to push and what I needed to do better, and I wouldn't have had that if I didn't post my art online. So the best thing to do is to just start posting your art. Even if it feels scary, it will get less scary as you go on, and hopefully with this video you'll be able to get a nice clear picture of your art and maybe use some of my strategies for making it look nice. The things you can post can be finished art, sketches, work in progress, anything that you feel good about, because some sketches you might really like. And there's nothing wrong with posting sketches. I actually love seeing other people's sketches, so if you feel good about it, then you should post it. If you want to post it, because not everything has to be shared with everyone, but if you want to and you like the way it looks, it doesn't matter if it's finished or not, because people on Instagram love sketches. So once you've found the thing that you want to post, it's time to get a picture of it. And this here is a dragon that I painted for a recent video that I filmed. And this is kind of a good example on the formatting, because since this is a very long landscape, I'm gonna have to find kind of a workaround to make a nice post out of it, because I don't want to, Instagram doesn't allow for this. So I'm probably gonna focus in on one area and then have it so that you swipe over and you can see the whole thing. There's a few different sort of rules that I have for myself. Sort of a rule of thumb when it comes to posting art, and there's different options that I like to use depending on what it is. There are basically 2 kinds of ways to post. You can post a clear picture of your image, or you can show your workspace. Those are kind of the 2 genres, I guess, of Instagram art posts, where it's just a very clean scan or a clean photo, or it's a picture of the desk with some supplies, maybe it's at an angle, and both can be effective depending on what you want. I prefer on my feed to post as little art supplies as possible. I just like the focus to be on the art, but that's just me. Some other people like to post their art supplies next to it. I just haven't found a very good way that works for me, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. So the first thing I do is I like to take a picture. Make sure you use whatever the best quality you have access to. My iPad has a pretty good camera on it, and I use that for all my art posts, but I also have this camera here that I sometimes use, but I just like to not have to transfer it to a computer and then edit it, so I use my iPad mostly. And try to make sure you're holding it at a good angle. And then since I plan to crop this, I'm going to go in a little bit closer and so I can get some of the details. Especially on mobile devices, it's a good idea to get as close as possible for maximum quality, and you can crop out your desk later on. So if I wanted to show some art supplies with this, as a second option, I would probably take a brush and put a couple of brushes here, and maybe I'd get the watercolors that I used. So maybe some sap green here and some raw sienna, and then I might even want to take it at an angle to make it look more natural. So the pose could look like this. And usually if something doesn't conveniently fit on one post, especially on Instagram, you can kind of swipe over. You can post multiple photos of the same thing. So the first one could be an intriguing crop that will make people click on it. And then when they swipe over, they can see the full thing. And that way you don't have the full thing with your desk showing on the front that could mess up your feed. So the first photo could kind of go with the rest of your feed and also show the part that you want to show that you think is the most intriguing. And as you swipe over, people can see the full thing, which is more of an informative way of just showing them what the whole piece looks like. A third option is to actually scan your art in and clean it up that way, but I never bother to scan things for Instagram unless I already have it scanned. But I know some people like their art to look very clean and flat and nice, and if you're one of those people, I would recommend scanning your art and then doing these steps that I'm about to show you. I basically just use the tools on Instagram to edit my photos. I don't use anything else because this is just the easiest, quickest way for me, and I just like to get my art on Instagram. Oh, but the first thing I do is I crop it, so I'll take this close up and I will adjust it. So you might want to take the time to sort of straighten it out here. Most phones and tablets and stuff should have this software, so if you have a mobile device, you can use this. And I want to crop just the part that I want there to be because you can't really crop on Instagram. It kind of automatically sizes it for you. So I don't want there to be any of my desk showing. And I think just this will be a nice first photo for people to see. The colors are already pretty accurate because my iPad is pretty good at that. So here's the first photo, and then you click that to do multiple photos. And maybe I'll use this as my second photo. So this will be the main thing that will draw people to the post. And then this will be sort of the full view of the post. This is formatted so weird because there's no Instagram for iPads. So you basically have to use the mobile version of Instagram, and it's just made huge on your screen. It's the worst design in the world, but I still use it because it's there and it's easy. So what I like to do is go over to highlights, and I like to make the highlights brighter, and I like to drag it to the extreme and then undo it until it kind of looks the way you want. I sharpen it a tiny bit, just a little bit, and then I also go to brightness to brighten it up. The key here is making sure your whites are white, and that's what makes a photo look good, and make sure your darks are dark enough too. So shadows, if you want to darken your shadows, I might darken them just a bit. And usually I need to warm it up a little bit and saturate it a little bit to make it look more like the original. So there's one photo edited, and you can see the before and after. I accidentally added all the photos, but I'll show you how I'll edit this one that's zoomed out. And it's a little bit crooked, so I'm going to go to adjust and straighten it a little bit. That looks good. Brighten it up. Contrast. The more you edit a photo, the more the quality can kind of degrade, so it's good to keep that in mind. But it's just Instagram, and I'm not too worried about it. I think the highlights need to be brighter. But sometimes bringing up the highlights can kind of desaturate it. That's the thing about Instagram's tools. Okay, good, you can delete these. So I think I'm actually going to post this now just to show you my entire posting process. So I have the zoomed in and the zoomed out version of it. I want this one to be first because I want it to display like that on my feed. So I just press next, and I'll type a little blurb about it. So I like to do a little blurb about the drawing and what it is, and then I like to include about 8 hashtags. That's what works for me. Sometimes I do illustrators on Instagram. It's a good idea to do a mix between more popular tags and less popular ones, because if you post in one that has like 30 million posts, yours is going to get lost. So I like to kind of find the mid-range ones with a few 10,000s. So like 61,000. This isn't a Procreate drawing, but oh, I can also tag it with Sketchbox because I use my Sketchbox to make this illustration. It's kind of a game, honestly. There's 9 tags, that's okay. I usually don't like to do any more than that. And then I press OK, and then you just press share. Then you can see on my feed, it kind of matches with the sort of theme I have going. And then you can see the first one and the second one. And now this is actually posted, so when you watch this video, you'll realize that I posted this while filming a video. Now, in terms of how frequent to post, honestly, a couple times a week is ideal. I wanted to post every other day during the summer, but I haven't really been keeping that up. If you can manage to post more than once a week, I think that's good for Instagram. The more the better, but I wouldn't post twice in one day unless you can do that frequently, because Instagram will kind of favor one post over the other, and the other one just kind of won't really be worth posting that day. You can also do sketch dumps where in one post you have a whole bunch of drawings, and that way you can kind of show people a whole bunch of drawings at once and make the first one the appealing one that you want people to click on. So as you can see, I don't really show my desk that much. I don't really show art supplies. I like to just have it clean like this, but this one I put at an angle and it actually got a lot more likes than usual, and I don't know if it's the angle I put it on or the content of it, I'm not sure. Another easy way to make your photos look better is to bring them into Photoshop and play with the curves or the levels. This is the easiest way to fix your lights and darks on a computer if you have Photoshop, and if you can find any other free software that has curves and levels as adjustments, I would definitely recommend using them. So what you want to do is make sure there's a good balance of lights to dark. So I like to kind of drag the light slider inwards towards the left to make sure that the lights get lighter, and then drag the black slider towards the middle and the darks will get darker, and then there's like a middle grayscale slider that you can kind of drag back and forth until you find a place that you like how it looks. And the curves, you can just, it's kind of the same thing, but you adjust points on a curve, and when you play with it, you can get a feel for what it does to the photo. So you can use that, save it as a JPEG once you're done editing it, and then just email it to yourself. In terms of watermarks, I used to watermark everything, and now I don't anymore. I don't know, it just takes more time than it's worth, I think. But if you want to watermark your art to prevent, as like an extra layer of security from people stealing it, I used to use the app called Lion Camera to add text to my photos before I posted them. So I would just do a little watermark, decrease the opacity, and use it that way. But I don't bother with that anymore. I feel like if people really wanted to steal your art, they would know how to remove a watermark. I don't think it helps that much, but it definitely can discourage. It's kind of like a first layer of defense against art theft, but I don't think it helps if someone is really dedicated to stealing art. So I really hope this video helped you when it comes to posting your art on really any social media app. It doesn't just apply to Instagram. Hope I gave you some ideas and some things to consider that you've never thought of before. This could be really obvious to some people, but some people maybe it's not. I also have a Patreon where I send out monthly prints and stickers and all kinds of stuff over on my Patreon. So if you want to support me there, feel free to check it out. And again, I really hope this video helped you out, and I will see you in my next video.